There was an airline in there. Someone said, is that me? I don't know. Someone was like, why don't we buy an airline? I was like, put it on the whiteboard.
Welcome back to Wildly Empowered Women. This episode is part 2 of a very incredible discussion that I had with the other 3 co-founders of the Wildly Empowered Collective. Last episode, we went through our personal stories, who we are, how the collective came to be. In this episode, we dive a little bit deeper into where it's going, what our vision is, how you can be part of that, and some really amazing lessons that we've learnt that we wanted to impart some wisdom on along the way.
What do you need to say no to in your life? Getting really real. What do you believe in? Who are you as a person? Like the experience that you have when you come into an environment where people are having these conversations about growth. They're the types of conversations you don't just have on the daily. And this is why it's so much more than a business. Love that we've touched on the masculine, because you cannot be in your joy without the masculine. The masculine, you know, in a relationship, the masculine is what holds you, like what provides for you. And so that was such a beautiful explanation, Tiff. And I want to hand it to you, Rosie, on the feminine, you know, and the growth that happens in this space by just purely being part of the Wildly Empowered Collective, and how, you know, when we first started, we did create a mantra, you know, Steph mentioned before, around unleashing your voice and finding who you are and being your authentic self. And to a lot of people, they're like, I don't even understand those words. Like, who am I as a person? What is my voice? What do I believe in? They're so used to being stuck in a box. So I'd love to hear from you. What have you gained on a personal level, money aside, and what have you witnessed in people that have joined the Wildly Empowered Collective?
Oof, this is a big one. It's a really big one. And you've hit it on the head, right? This question of who am I? What am I here for? Often gets you off guard because people don't actually know. Like, we don't actually know who we are. We don't know what our greater purpose is, or what's the thing that really lights us on fire, or as I would say, gives us the puss tingles.
I love that.
Or if we want to go like fancy, the puss tinglays.
My new fave. Yeah.
Just make it French. And you know, wind back 3.5 years, like I wouldn't have even known this, right? Yeah. And I think it's, again, by just trusting that intuitive voice within you that guides you to things when you don't actually know why. Like, that's actually your feminine, you know, that's your, if you want to go there, like that's your womb speaking to you, right? Like that's where it lives. And I think particularly for women, we become so, you know, and particularly women who are driven, who are entrepreneurial, who are high achieving, type red personality, you know, we're in this constant cycle of do, right? This masculine, like, let's get stuff done. Like, you know what? I'll just do it because I can do it better, right? And we can do everything ourselves. And just because we can do everything ourselves doesn't mean that we should. And it's coming back to this state of less, of space, of breath, of giving yourself the permission to create space so that you can actually become more attuned with what that voice is. And so I've been on a journey over the last 3 years to really become attuned to that voice. And that's practicing many different modalities. That's studying embodiment, becoming an embodiment facilitator. That's sitting with plant medicine. That is, you know, getting in rooms with people who inspire me and help me to acknowledge who I am and give permission to be that person, no matter what that looks and feels like. You know, she's a little bit weird and wonderful, and that's okay. So for me, like, this business is so much more than just a business, right? It's just so much more than, you know, the 6-figure income and like all of that. It's like actually by fully saying yes to what you want and what you desire and being the permission slip for yourself, and then that being the embodied example for somebody else to then go, you know what? I want that too. I'm going to go for it. I believe that I am worthy of creating everything that I want and desire. I believe that my voice matters. I believe that my experience, that my life, that the things that I've learned, like I believe that what I have to say is of value. And there's this beautiful saying, I don't know where it comes from, but, you know, sharing our truth is what sets us free. And in the process, it sets other people free in the process, because it's how we feel seen. It's how we feel heard. It's like acknowledging that, you know, you're a living, breathing human being, and that life is really complex, and that we all have conditioning and trauma, whether that be big T or little t trauma. Like we all have stuff, and to create an awareness around that and to be able to work through it and to be supported by a business vehicle that actually allows you to do that, because it allows you to just be who you are as a personal brand. And, you know, 3.5 years ago, that terrified the hell out of me, even though I did have a, you know, like a Z grade profile as a performer. You know, it wasn't totally foreign to me. Not even like
it was actually a B grade. Can I just say, like, Eric Benner, like, he's like
Babe, I was the dead girl in the movie.
But I loved that part.
But hey,
that was the
big
role,
for the role.
Big role.
But, you know, like, it wasn't a foreign concept to me to be, you know, interviewed or to be on stage or to be performing or to learn a half an hour monologue and, you know, perform it around the country. Like, I was actually so used to being seen as somebody else, but never as myself. And it terrified the bejesus out of me, because there were ramifications of that, right? Once you say who you are and what you stand for and what you believe, and hey, I'm actually worthy of, like, sharing my truth, whatever that is today, right? It takes so much courage. And so what I've witnessed within myself is this real freedom of just really accepting myself and loving myself for who I am. And that's really empowered, you know, all of the women that I've attracted into my business to do the same. And what we've created with TWEC has catapulted those results or that growth like so much faster than what I experienced it. And that's why I love what we do. That's why I believe in it. We actually have the tangible results that prove it, not only the financial results, but the growth. And to be able to, you know, be the kind of guiding light that shows people the way to create that for themselves is incredibly impactful. And, you know, we're talking about women with, you know, multi-six-figure corporate careers who have had an awakening when they've had their babies and they don't want to go back to that job. And so they've set themselves a goal. Great. Okay, I've got 12 months. I'm going to replace my income. That's just happened with a woman that I work with in the last 12 months. And she doesn't have to go back to work. She gets to be amazing. A conscious mum. And she literally didn't have any of the skills. She had 50 followers on a new account on Instagram. She didn't know how to make a reel. She didn't know how to even show up on a story and, you know, speak. She didn't know how to use her voice. And here we have this transformation over a 12-month period of somebody who has gotten radically responsible, who's applied herself, who's been coachable, who's followed the system in terms of the strategy, I should say, that we've co-created in TWEC in our online platform. And she's just got to work because she chose her hard, and she was like, I don't want to go back to work. That's way harder. I want to do this business in the pockets of my time in a way that's in alignment with who I am as a woman, that gets to consciously parent my kids, that gets to, you know, replace my income in a way that looks and feels really good for me, and help other women to do the same. That is impactful. You know, that's what we're doing here. Another example is a woman that, you know, started about 4 or 5 months ago, single mum, solopreneur, yoga teacher, embodiment facilitator, runs retreats, nervous system in complete overdrive because she's constantly working, having to support her family because she gets no support from her child's father. And then her child gets sick, can't go to daycare. Then she gets sick, can't work. It's this vicious cycle. And to be able to see someone like that really just, again, like a duck to water, make 10 sales in this business within an 8-week period, be able to say bye-bye to working as a yoga teacher for somebody else's business, a couple of classes a week for $60 an hour, and actually, you know, get to go overseas twice in that time and hire beautiful villas for her and her daughter. Like, this is the impact. And to witness that growth, in particularly in someone's health and their nervous system, and, You know, it's like, it's so powerful. Like this is the work, right? Like this is actually the impact of what a business like this allows you to create. And when you can zoom out and you can witness it like beyond yourself and you get to see, wow, this is what is possible for women. And what I love, I'm like, they've all made way more money than me in the time that, you know, I'm like, wow, like this is such an integrous model. Like you're getting paid for the work that you're doing. Just because I'm your mentor and your sponsor, like doesn't mean that I get paid all these big bucks. You know, it's such an integrous model, and I love that about it. So yeah, I guess to be a bit of a way shower of showing what's possible when you kind of get in, you get a bit down and dirty with yourself and you do the hard work. It's not always neat and tidy. It can be really messy and it can be really painful. I've said goodbye to a lot of things in the last 3.5 years, like a lot of things, personally, to do with my family, relationships, and it's been really hard. But not saying yes to what I really wanted and what I deserved was harder.
Boom. And that basically in a nutshell encapsulates why it's so much more than a business, right? The experience that you have when you come into an environment where people are having these conversations about growth, about what do you need to say no to in your life? You know, getting really real. What do you believe in? Who are you as a person? Like, what's your voice? What do you want to be a stand for? Like, they're the types of conversations you don't just have on the daily, right? Like, and this is why, you know, the saying of you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around, it's a really important one, because the people that we hang around, if they're closed-minded, in scarcity, you know, negative, like just hating their life, then that's likely what your life will look like. And so I'd love to hear from you ladies. What is it that you feel is so powerful about coming into TWEC that makes such a big difference in people's lives apart from all the money? You know, like there is such an amazing amount of people within the community who are replacing their income and making a lot of money, and that, you know, that's something that we can talk to as well. But from a personal level, what are the changes that you've seen in a couple of people in the collective that you want to talk to?
I think firstly it's really important to acknowledge that there's no job description. And to Rosie's point, you're so used to looking at, like, for example, corporate 9 to 5, whatever it might be. You look at a job and you think, oh, do I fit into that category? Like, can I put myself in this box to be qualified for this job role, right? When you take yourself out of that environment as somebody who was very much in the box, and I was constantly suppressing these layers of myself to the point that I couldn't even recognize myself anymore, coming into this business was actually quite confronting, because I had experience in the realm of personal branding by way of what do people think of when they think of you, and if they don't know who you are and the work that you've done, then you likely won't qualify for the entirety of your bonus. So everything was always attached to an outcome, and attached to that is where I personally attached my worth. And I've had this conversation with Rosie so many times, and probably both of you over the last 3.5 years, because you attach yourself to outcomes and you attach yourself to something that then proves that you are worthy and capable because you have qualified within the box. And this business, like, tears that box apart, and it just asks you the question of, like, who are you really when you take all those things away? And that is really freaking confronting, because most people don't actually know. I didn't know. So there's been so many things that my world has been opened up to because of this business that I likely wouldn't have otherwise come across. And in terms of what we get to witness in women, I have to share this story. I was thinking about it when you were just sharing, Rosie. We recently hosted, as Steph mentioned, our second retreat for the year. It was our embodied leadership and legacy retreat. And picture this, right? There's a deck poolside overlooking the sunset of, like, rolling hills. And we had an embodied dance activation, and all of us participated. And it was truly such a beautiful experience, because we all got to close our eyes and actually be in our bodies. And this is something that Rosie talks about a lot. And if you would have said to me 3.5 years ago that this is what I would get to call work and these are the experiences that I would get to have, I would just be like, what? Like, no, thank you. Like, absolutely not. So uncomfortable, so awkward. What are people going to think? I don't even know what it feels like to be in my body. Like, I was always operating so much in the masculine, and it's still a habit that I work on every single day to break and come back to my body and come back to, you know, who I am and uncovering all those layers and, you know, releasing the suppression. And that experience, I genuinely believe, was so game-changing for so many women. We're on the deck, we're dancing, we're screaming, we're shaking, we're singing. Like, really imagine what that would feel like in your body. I literally have goosebumps because those experiences are the things that you would not know that you need in your life until you experience them. And to witness the women, I know that you, Jay-Z, got to actually watch it, but I can only imagine knowing how it felt for me to be in the moment and also to see some photos and things of the women afterwards, to know that in those moments you're so in your body and you don't give a flying fuck what anybody else thinks. How you look, like you are so present in your body, is so rare. So that again is something that we open you up to, that you get to experience, that is so above and beyond just a business. So we have to tell those stories and we have to share those things. I have to add, we were so in our bodies that afterwards when we finished, imagine this, we're still picturing it, right? The sun goes down, the sky is dark, it is a full moon overlooking the most incredible venue and the hinterland and everything. And then we strip off and we go for a nudie swim. And we were taking photos and we were getting videos. And it was like women, again, in their bodies, like it's not about like stripping your clothes off and getting naked. It's the symbol of what that actually means for those women and what it meant in that moment for those women. And we've even had conversations afterwards of like, I can't believe I did that. It felt so good. I didn't care what anybody thought. And it was just like a completely safe, judgment-free zone. So being able to witness the women who were like, oh, you know, in the beginning of the circle, the embodied dance activation, going like kind of like sitting there, like not really feeling it, like not allowing themselves to go there, to go all the way in and then end up nudie swimming in the pool over a full moon. Like the transformation in that, like 2-hour period is a testament to the transformation that you get to have because of who we are.
They dipped their toe in and then they bloody dived in naked. Like it really escalated, and that wasn't planned, the nudie swim. But I love that you shared that, because that's where it went, right? And this is this really is why we always say we are not called the Wildly Empowered Collective as a cool, gimmicky marketing slogan. We genuinely live and breathe it. We genuinely want people to come in and find what wildly empowered means for them. And witnessing that embodied dance session on the deck at that retreat, you know, I couldn't partake because I had my 3-month-old with me and she was a bit fussy. So I just decided to watch it on the sidelines. And I, like, you know, because most of the time everyone had their eyes shut. So you guys actually probably didn't see each other very much. But from my perspective, witnessing it, I had this moment where, you know, the facilitator was taking you through the archetypes, and I think it was Wild Woman or something like that. I couldn't actually hear her, but it looks like Wild Woman because you were all just like in your body so much. And I looked over at one girl who has always been a little bit resistant to this work, right? Because she has some wounding around girls being mean to her and a bit bitchy and like narky and stuff in her past in high school. And she kind of, you know, openly shared that she's been a bit resistant to the whole sisterhood thing and, you know, being around women. And I looked over at her and she had her eyes shut and she was just so in her body in this beautiful white dress that was actually really feminine, moving her hips and swaying her head, and she just looked like a goddess. And I just I had tears streaming down my face, and the photographer who I was standing next to, our amazing photographer, and she just put her arm around me and I said, you know, some women will go their entire life never being invited to just be themselves and just be who they are and experience that and feel who they are and then move their bodies in that way. And witnessing it, Zara is a little wise woman. Like she was mucking up for a reason. She was like, Mama, you gotta watch this. You don't need it. You don't need to be in it. You got to watch it to actually like fully see the impact of TWEC. You know, that is the impact. Where else would you have the experience of being invited to be fully self-expressed, whatever that looks like for you? It's so unique. So
I think you got more out of it by actually witnessing it, to be honest. And this is the thing, like I feel like that coming into the space, it's such an awakening for so many people and for so many women. And we talk about, you know, being in rooms and being in conversations where there are high standards, you know, and there are higher standards possibly than what they have for themselves. And, you know, there's a unwillingness to tolerate certain things and being in environments where, you know, that is like cultivated. You know, we talk about expanding your possible. It's like their entire capacity to like dream, I think, starts to be like jolted as soon as they kind of enter into the Wildly Empowered Collective, into like, you know, the company of people who are thinking bigger and dreaming larger. And I think that the personal development side of things is something that a lot of people don't realize is a big piece to the puzzle, because we all think we're getting to this for the business. Initially it's like, right, we see the strategy, we see the plan. It feels very rigid in that way. That's certainly how I saw it when I came in. I was like, this makes sense. But then what you don't realize is that there's all this work to be done, you know, and I think that it is an extraordinary awakening for a lot of women coming into the space. And, you know, I have someone in my organization, she's a beautiful woman, and the biggest thing for her really was like she had no idea that there was a level of sisterhood and a level of connection across like a network of women that was actually ever possible for her. And she'd ruled it out completely. And because of that, she moved in the world with a very masculine lens, a very protective lens, because she didn't believe that she was safe to actually, you know, use her voice or express herself or let her guard down or be vulnerable in conversation with other women. You know, I was in Italy recently, and I think that, you know, I was talking to a girl over there and she said, you know, you're so open in your conversation. So she says, not so much in Italy. She said, you know, it's a very competitive nature in Italy. You know, women coming together, it's about competition, you know, and it's about status. And I think that what we've cultivated, and I know our culture in Australia is different, but even within the Wildly Empowered Collective, it's such an inclusive, we've got you, we're holding you, you can be fully messy and vulnerable, because the only way that you're going to gain your strength is by crumbling down and like letting the walls down around you. And this is why we see so many breakdowns when people first enter into this business, is because they're breaking down what they've carried, the heaviness of that for so long. And they are like not forced, they're not encouraged, what's the right word? They're almost like intuitively guided. Like it's like in the meditation world, they say when you sit in stillness, clarity will come. If you want to make decisions, sit still, closure, and think, like the clarity will come with the stillness, right? It's the same when they come into our space. I think when they come into our spaces and they're invited to explore activities around like embodiment, you know, and feminine embodiment and, you know, journaling and like magical scripting, and what does it actually look like for them? And like the woman in, you know, a year or 5 years, and imagine if that woman then didn't go for her dreams. Like all of those thoughts are really confronting. And I think that causes like this trigger, this chemical trigger. And I think that's where the breakdown comes in. But this is where then the beauty comes through on the other side. And, you know, I wouldn't say it's the breakdown to break through at that point. I think it's just the realization that, holy shit, I've been holding myself together for so long. And I actually for the first time maybe feel that I don't need to. And this is where then they start to actually step into their true version of who they are. And it takes time. Like I'm still on that journey, you know, like there is a lot of conditioning, I think, even for me personally, of like, you know, all of us have a conditioning of keeping it together. You'll only survive based on your environment, on how you survived when you were younger. It's very ingrained. So I think that like stepping into the space, it's very confronting to the point where a lot of people don't realize it, but they just are so grateful for the fact that they thought they were stepping into a business, but they're actually stepping into like, I guess like an incredible personal development, sisterhood culture, like community that it's almost the point where a lot of women say, I actually don't even care if I didn't make $1 in this business. Like I'm here for this part.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does go back to that environment piece, right? Like the four of us had that conversation the other day about, hey, let's actually be the people that we wish we had when it comes to goals around us, right? And like sharing bigger goals and actually challenging each other to think a little bit bigger and, you know, like holding space for each other to share, like, you know what, I'm going to have $100,000 month, and you saying, fuck yeah, I can't wait for that, you know, and like I can't wait to have $1 million cash in my bank account, and us like cheering you on and going like, hell yeah, like let's, you know, we can't wait to celebrate that day because and you know, there's a trend of this audio going around on Instagram right now of, you know, rule number 7, think so big that people think you're crazy. Well, yeah, they're the goals that we actually want to have, and we want to hold space and support you to have those goals, because who else in your life would actually support you to have them?
Totally.
Like most of your friends and family, A, don't live the life that you want to live, B, don't have the money that you want to have, and C, would not support you in goals around life or money that to you might feel really exciting and expansive, but to them, they think is impossible.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that we can make, and I learnt this early on in this journey, was having conversations of your dreams, goals and desires based on what you know to be true in environments that you put yourself in, e.g. where, you know, environments that we put ourselves in with others that actually don't have the same level of consciousness or like vision or capacity to even believe that is possible. And I learned it early on because I had a conversation with someone and I was on track for my first 20K month. I think it was 22K month or something. This was a couple of years ago, or two years ago. And I remember saying, like, this is what I'm going for, you know, like I'm going to crack the, you know, that was 10Ks was like my thing at the time. And they turned to me and they said, in what world do you live in where you think that 20Ks is possible? And I just, in that moment, I actually was speechless because I realized that having conversations with those that actually aren't capable of believing that anything like that is, you know, we talk about 100K months and like 50K months, and hell, I did 72K in the last 3 months, you know, like on that run. And it's like, I realized in that moment, it's not supportive to be actually in bringing, like asking for advice. Like and kind of counsel.
I love this topic.
From anybody that's actually going to sit there and be like, who do you think that you are? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting with the wrong person. Oh.
I want to, carry on.
No,
Sorry.
No, it was about to.
I love this. We're all getting so excited on it. I want to hand it over to you ladies, but I want to also, within the framework of this is what you get in TWEC. You get to have conversations with people who will have your back and who will support you in your goals and who won't think you're crazy or won't say to you like, oh, be realistic, or oh, who do you think you are or whatever, right? And I also want to actually frame this to say the four of us have actually, we're there. We're actually living this life. We're having the results that most people want to have, right? And so I think that's a really important point to make, because who better to learn from than someone that's gone before you, right? Like I had a coaching session with someone the other day, and she said to me, I can't believe how valuable it is for someone to actually be mentored by you, because Jess, what you've created took you 10 years and now you're helping people get the same results in a fraction of the time because you went first and you made all the mistakes. And I was like, that is exactly what the four of us bring to TWEC. We've all made the mistakes. We've fallen, like, you know, we failed forward. We're very successful now because we were willing to put the work in to now teach something that quite literally dissolves timelines. And so, you know, not only do you get to be in this environment where people have your back and encourage you, and it's so supportive and it's like the opposite of what we are made to believe we're capable of, but you also get to learn from four people and the other amazing leaders that we've created in TWEC that actually already are there where you want to be, you know? Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard you've got to remind yourself, even like a year ago, it's like, oh my God, I am where I wanted to be a year ago.
Yeah.
But now, because of the expansion that's happened, you're already working toward that next evolution, that next expansion, that next phase of growth. And I actually had a message from someone in my team, someone that I mentor, and she said to me, and she's wildly successful, like she's just, you know, literally making serious bank and impacting lots of women. And she said to me, And we've, since adopted this different strategy in terms of, maximizing your commissions and then also setting your business up for this long-term residual passive wealth in terms of your business structure, which we've really only adapted probably 9 months ago. And she's using this strategy, and she said to me, she's like, I kind of feel like I'm cheating. She's like, you guys have gone and done the hard yards. You've made all of the mistakes so that we don't have to. And I'm like, yeah doll.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, right? But how amazing, to actually see that happen like in real time and like collapse the timelines, because it's like this strategy is like such a no-brainer, and for people to actually be experiencing it and like see it kind of playing out and going, oh my God, I can see why this strategy is so amazing. I can see why I'm maximizing this model for myself and for my organization. I can see how this is like the true embodiment of a time, location, leveraged business, and how I can actually collapse those timelines. It's not just some marketing slogan. Like, it's real, it's happening. And this is why we've created what we've created, because we want people to get the results faster than what we had them.
Oh boy, yeah.
Does that make sense? What we had.
Like, it blows me away that the four of us are sitting here. I still never forget, the first year in your business, you used to come to my house up in Bangalore, beautiful old Queenslander. We used to light the fire and drink wine. And, I remember, like in those early days, the trenches, the garage days, and having these conversations of like, imagine in 2 years. And like, well, now we're here. It's wild to me, because I remember those conversations vividly of like, like we're just going to, we're going to stay the course. We're going to do this. We're going to go all the way. Like, it's so fulfilling to me to be sitting here today and never giving up, and knowing that, really it's like never giving up before the magic happens ever. Yeah.
Before we go on, I want to ask you a super powerful question. What would it mean to you to make decisions based on your soul rather than your bank balance? Freedom to me means having true autonomy and choice in your life to live based off your values and soul's desires, rather than what you can purely afford for you and your family or what your job requires of you. This is why I've been empowering women for the past almost 5 years to earn more with pleasure, earning your true worth without the insane hustle and with actually having choice in your life. It is so much more about how you earn rather than what you earn. If you'd like to learn more about how I mentor women to earn a time-leveraged income online, selling conscious, health-based products and learning the skills of personal branding and attraction marketing, both very sexy skills to have, then click on the link in the show notes or DM me the word info on Instagram so we can have a proper chat. I love having one-on-one combos with you savvy queens and showing you how this kind of income and our community can help you truly live wildly empowered. Big love, back to the episode.
I always remember talk on the topic of quitting, because I feel like if you haven't wanted to quit at least 100 times, you're probably not you're not really all in.
100%.
You're probably not really doing the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's, I feel like we get to normalize this. Like, it's not about making everything feel really hard and like labeling everything as hard, but it is also realizing that like, if what we had was super, super easy, then like everybody would be doing it and everybody would have it. Like, everybody wants to be able to create a time leveraged business that pays them to live life on their terms and work from wherever. Like, you can't escape it on social media, whether you're in the industry or not. Maybe you're just observing the industry so far. You can't escape it. And everybody wants to be able to live that. But it's literally being part of like the 1% of those who actually go on to create it and live that life, because I never say that it's easy. I feel like what we have created, or I know that what we have created simplifies the fuck out of it. But I wouldn't necessarily call it easy. It's so purpose-filled. It's so fulfilling. It's so intentional. It's so much fun. It's so big. And also knowing that the path to whatever you might call the top is not going to be linear. So I also do believe that the other elements that we bring into the Wildly Empowered Collective are so crucial, because it's always being fully supported. It's always having a safe space. It's always knowing that for whatever it is that you're experiencing inside your business, outside of your business, you have a place to come to have a conversation. And no matter what, you're either going to have a mirror held up, you're going to be brought back down to earth, or you're going to be fully and lovingly supported to pick yourself up once more.
Yeah.
Just one more time. And I even had this conversation yesterday around, you've picked yourself up so many times, like just one more time. Just one more time. Keep going. So I love that you always have that space within the collective, and whether it's like between the four of us, which I know that we're always that for each other, and also we're always that for our team and for our leaders, and the women in the collective are that for each other, which we saw at the retreat as well. So I feel like it's such a beautiful home, as we've spoken about, for so many women. And again, always having that safe space to come back to.
That's so beautiful. So I want to talk about the future of TWEC and where we see TWEC going, what our vision is, how we see it. It snowballed so much in the last 2 years, and the sky's the limit, right? Which is what I love, that we all have that mindset around, like, where can we take this? What does the future look like? So we'd love to hand it over to you ladies. Like, where do you see it going?
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I feel like that I would love to hear from you where you feel that, I would love you to answer that question. Where do you feel TWEC is going? What do you see for the future of TWEC?
Yep. Rosie and I were voice noting the other day, and she said to me, blah, 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 down the track when there's millions of people within the Wildly Empowered Collective, and my heart just stopped and I got like puss tinglays.
Yeah, you did.
When you said that, because I was like, we truly have the potential to impact millions of lives positively, and that sets my heart on fire. Like, you said before, like, there's no end point to this business. Yeah, I will do this until I die, because you know what? I'm actually at the point where I could stop working. I'm earning a really good residual income. I could just be a mum right now, but that doesn't fulfill me as much as helping women and men. Actually, also men. I want to really create, attract some conscious men into the space as well, to create a life that they really love and have that fulfillment. So where I see the Wildly Empowered Collective going is more men, having some really beautiful conscious men who actually lead, pave the way for men, millions of lives impacted, and actually a lot of philanthropy. I see as the future, there's always a season in business where you've got to feed yourself first, right? Like, you've got to get yourself on your feet and like pay the bills and, get to that point. And now I see that we're in this beautiful sweet spot where we're actually going to be able to really give back in a huge way. And we always say, money in the hands of good people changes the world. And it truly does. When you've got the money you've looked after yourself, you've looked after your family, and you have excess, you can bless people with that. You can do incredible things and support incredible causes with that. So I see the future being way more lives impacted positively, way more people dancing, in their bodies and then doing skinny dips because they're just so fully expressed and empowered. And I see us being able to give back in a much bigger way than what we're able to right now, in a much, much, much bigger way.
I love that. I honestly have so many big visions for TWEC that just literally lights my soul on fire. And one of them being is, not only is it already a space where we're bringing women together, but I would also love to kind of bring the online world offline and actually do more in-person things, and also create a space for women, having an events background, create a space for women to come together in person and actually connect with us and what we do. And also, again, being the change makers and the innovators in the industry to change the perception and the experience that people have in this industry. So from a business perspective, I really see TWEC evolving into having more offline experiences and being able to actually have people locally, or even we take TWEC on tour, let's go around Australia, let's go globally, we can literally do anything, like
Queen of the Desert.
Sure.
On a bus.
Who's getting dressed up?
The four of us.
Okay. Yeah, I think redefining what's possible for us and really dreaming bigger than ever, and not just going how could we like dabble and just like make this thing better? Like, I really feel like we're already like, I know that we're all in, and our board of directors and our collective are also all in on TWEC. So I just know that like we're taking this thing all the way, and like whatever all the way is, like we don't even know yet. Like, but that doesn't matter. We just know that along the way, there's going to be things that we continually evolve and create, co-create and deliver to create exceptional experiences for people. And I would love to see that more offline as well, and creating a space for women to come together and network, and again, creating a really safe space to like actually empower women to come alone and not feel like, oh, I have to bring a friend to have a buddy and in order for me to feel safe in that environment. I would love to have women come to a space and again, empower them to come alone, to connect with other like-minded women. And whether that's like come into the business or not, like it actually doesn't matter. Like just creating a space for women to innovate and have really beautiful, empowering conversations. And also from an education and automation perspective, like just really evolving what we have and making it so streamlined, so powerful, the highest converting thing you've ever seen in your life. I would love to adopt AI. Like I would really love to just continue to keep up with the industry and continue to revolutionize the way that we're doing things. And I know that within the four of us and the other leaders in the collective, we will continue to evolve and continue to innovate the way that we do things. So it's always getting better and better and better, and really blowing people out of the water with, yeah, you might have seen a magic before, but you have not seen it the way that we do it.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things I really want to touch on as well, just quickly. Like at our first retreat that we had earlier on in the year, Steph and I hosted a vision session, and it was all about like structure and processes and all the masculine side of things. And at the end we were like, if we could do anything with TWEC, what would we do? And we let everybody's minds just like run wild with like,
that was so fun.
Like, would we buy Soma?
Or
would we just build Soma?
There was an airline in there. Someone said, was that me? I don't know. Someone was like, why don't we buy an airline? I was like, put it on the whiteboard.
With your glasses on.
Yeah, there were so many things on that whiteboard. And what I love as well is coming back to that philanthropy piece was like, a lot of the things were anchored around supporting people outside of what we do, not just about the business and not just about getting this water into people's homes. It was actually so much bigger than that. And I feel like that was such a beautiful testament to the type of humans that we have in the collective, and being so heart-led that it's not just about making money. It's not just about selling. It's not just about getting the water into people's homes. That's all incredible, and that's life-changing individually and as a collective. But also knowing that we get to do things that impact people's lives that have nothing to do with the ROI on our business. Like that is where I see the evolution of TWEC getting to at some point. And also we know as savvy business women that we get to evolve the business into whatever it is that we feel like is going to make the most impact and have the most fun.
Yes. Rosie gal.
I think for me personally, this comes down to really, I feel like I'm being a bit selfish in this answer, but it's like I'm at a season where I'm ready to let my business really hold me, to reconnect with my creativity for me. And it's like the foundation has been built now. You know, it's going to grow with or without you. Like I'm not going anywhere, but I'm just feeling into this season of like, actually you get to be in this next season of your life that is in alignment with this version of you, not the version of you from 3 years ago. And yeah, so in terms of what that looks and feels like for TWEC, I think it's about me sharing my other, you know, I might be a sales queen, but I'm also, you know, I'm a creative and I'm an embodiment facilitator. I have a background in the theatre and like being with people and bodies in space and breathing together and holding space for people to be themselves. And I feel like, you know, similar to Tiff, I would love to facilitate and create more containers and spaces for that work, for that really deep. It's deep work, you know, and it can't be taken lightly, and it does require certain containers and a certain environment for that to be facilitated in a ethical way. So that's kind of what I'm feeling into for me personally and how I'd like to serve the collective, I think, moving forward. And what that looks and feels like, I don't yet know. Right now, I just kind of want a bit of a holiday. So I'm going to be doing that for a couple of weeks.
But like, quite honestly, if you didn't have TWEC, you couldn't, right? Which is why coming back to, yes, there's Enagic. Enagic is great. But if you just went and started an Enagic business, you wouldn't have the structure in place to actually help you to go offline and have a holiday, 100%. To have time off, to be in that season where you're like, to someone working a job right now, it might sound so so far from their reality to say to them, you can earn money and also have space to be in your creativity and remember who you are and just have some breathing space. Like the fact that you even can be in that season, that's a testament to what we've built, right? Because what we've built can support you in being able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. The foundation has been laid.
Yeah.
Like we've been busy bees the last 2 years doing it. And now we're actually at the point where we're like, wow, look at what we've actually built. We've built a castle and now we get to be in that castle, like everyone does. Like we now have this amazing thing that gets to support us. And, when you were talking before, Tiff, I was reflecting on, the standard of what we do things in and the standard of what we think. And one of them is our automation and our systems that really get to hold us. And one of those things is not waiting and just doing the thing that needs to be done. And, our retreats, for example, we started doing these leadership retreats that you need to qualify. You need to have had a certain amount of success in your business to be invited to these retreats. And it was the very first one that we ever did. And we went straight to the top and we booked out the most bougie venue in all of Australia. And my husband said to me at the time, he's like, I can't believe you're doing this for your first retreat. Like, where to from here? And I was like, what do you mean where to from here? We start at the top.
Better.
Why would we start anywhere less than the top?
Yeah.
And then, for our end of year gala this year, we have booked out the bougiest venue for Christmas parties in arguably in Sydney. Like exactly. And why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
It literally looks like you've walked onto a set of The Great Gatsby and it is like, it's absolutely stunning. And again, my husband said something to me, a little bit jokingly about, it's the Oscars. And I was like, well, yes, it's actually, that's what we're doing. It's like the Oscars for TWEC. That was my vision anyway. Like when I said it to you guys, I was like, The Great Gatsby and the Oscars, like that's what it is, right, for TWEC. And it's like, but the reason I'm sharing that is because that's how the four of us think. We are always thinking highest standard, right? And even you mentioned before, Rosie, about, that beautiful woman in your team sharing in a message that, she can't believe, she thinks she's like, oh, I feel like I'm cheating. You guys have like done so much work and gone before us. Like, you know what? That's also a reflection of how we think, because it hasn't been easy to be like, we have always been taught to do something this way in this business, right? Not in life, in this business. And we have actually burnt so many things down to the ground and started from scratch. And the strategy that she mentioned is actually a strategy that, we obviously only implemented this year in February and has been so remarkable and responsible for a lot of growth in the team. And someone said to me at the time, wow, are you looking at this and thinking, oh my God, I have so many regrets. I wish I had have started this way. I wish I had have built this way. And not once did I think that. And my initial reaction was like, why would you think that? Like, yes, I could have built this way, but like I didn't even know it existed, right? And that is a testament to how we build TWEC as well, is that we're not thinking about ourselves and like what could have been. Like, sure, hindsight's a great thing, but how is that going to benefit us by thinking, oh, well, I wish I had have built my business this way, or I wish this had have been around, blah, blah, blah. No, we get excited about what this can do for someone else. We get so excited. And I certainly this is what drives me, is going, no, I didn't have this. And this is why I'm so passionate about bringing it to you, because you now get to learn from us, constantly evolving and learning as leaders. Like, we're bringing this to you because we know it will dissolve timelines. We know what impact it will have. We know that, literally generations to come, not just this lifetime, generations to come are going to thank us for going first in this business, because it's a willable business.
But this is the reflection of the evolution of who you are and how we think, right? Because we're never in any state of victim, not even 1% of it.
Yeah.
So it's like we never look at anything like, oh, I wish I had have done it this way or that way. It's actually like the journey's been phenomenal. In fact, the journey is why we're actually here right now, because it actually builds a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
And I think that, even you kind of like, for us not even thinking that way, it's like, well, if we thought that way about anything, then it would just kind of like really stall our success forward no matter what we do in this world.
Yeah.
I'd love to add as well, I feel like the way that we operate is hugely actually driven by you, because I never forget the feedback that Vic gave you, your husband. And I'm pretty sure it went something like shoot, fire, aim. And it wasn't aim, shoot, fire, whatever it was. It was the opposite to what we're taught to do. We're always taught to like create a plan and like have a plan B and like look at, the matrix of like how things could work out and look at all the possibilities. And that creates so much time wasted. Not to say that we don't look at things holistically and go, is this the best way? How can we do things better? Whatever. Of course we do. And also, we just get shit done.
Yeah.
We get into action and we make things happen, which is why I believe that the way that we've innovated the way that we do things is because of that action taking. And it's actually deeply rooted in full trust in ourselves, in our decision making, and just getting into action.
Yeah. I was just going to add to the vision piece is that, like, I feel this deep sense of drive and passion and kind of purpose to really create a global movement, create a global network of people, and really like allowing them to dream, like allowing them to really tap into what's possible. I originally was always like, I think that I feel like a lot of young, I was like, TWEC for kids. Like a lot of, let's create books.
TWEC Junior.
But TWEC Junior. No, a lot of young people actually don't start thinking about, setting themselves up and, until they're like a lot later in life. I think we're having this conversation, but around, completely fertility actually, like last week. But in relation to TWEC and the vision of TWEC, like, we've got a very dear mentor, Balazs, who's got a global prosperity movement, and I love that he has named it that. But I can imagine and visualize TWEC going global as a movement, able to really kind of be like a stand for creating the life of your desires, like by design, and like really tapping into the permission slip for that piece. But then my other passion was like, I really would love to create an arm of education around, all elements of personal development and finances and money, because I feel like that we come across so many, I do come across so many women who, are starting again financially for whatever reason, or have ended a marriage and, are left with nothing, or whatever it is. And then they have lack of choice and lack of movement. So I would love to create like educate and inspire the younger generation as well.
Yeah, and I think that financial piece is really exciting as well, because we can help you make the money, but do you know how to actually hold it? And do you know what to do with it? Because,
we spoke about this last week.
Yeah, and this is why I sort of, have created a bit of a mentorship around it for the leaders, because no one teaches you what to do with your money. And in this business, it's an important element, because we do teach you how to make the money, but then you need to actually know how to hold it, how to invest it, how to make it work for you, and all the things. So yeah, that's a really important element.
But
as
also
well.
like women at 21 should be getting into this business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
18 and above, actually.
Yeah.
your parents haven't got a little kiddie fund for you, then hey, get starting at 18. Like seriously.
Yeah. I love that.
Before we wrap up this episode, I want to ask you a question. Do you remember how you discovered this podcast? Was it a friend's suggestion or an Instagram story, maybe a post? Somehow you found it, and I'm hoping you're getting a lot of value from it. I need your help now to pay it forward so that other women can feel seen, heard, nourished, and more than anything, empowered from these conversations too. Big love, back to the episode.
Amazing. What a beautiful discussion. What a beautiful conversation around TWEC and how we began, where we're going, all the things in between. Thank you so much, ladies. It's so special to be able to have this conversation in real life when we see each other so much online. And we would love for you, the listener, if you loved what you heard, if there was any nuggets where you were like, oh my God, that just spoke directly to my soul, please share it. Share these episodes with anyone that you feel needs to hear it, and feel free to screenshot it and share it in your stories. Tag us on Instagram. Instagrams are in the show notes, and feel free to reach out to us, because what we've created in TWEC is genuinely, truly very unique. We'd love for you to be part of it, and the Facebook group will also be in the show notes for you to go and check out who we are and how we operate, and sort of, see the inside of what it's like in TWEC. So thank you so much for joining, ladies.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you. Go thrive.
Puss tingles.